Drew Allar is a very interesting quarterback. He's not really a good one yet, but he has potential. That being said, will he ever reach the potential? That's hard to say, but being realistic, probably no. But that doesn't mean the Steelers should give up on him. That doesn't mean he should just be the guy that rides the bench the entire season. Because when you watch Drew Allar, you see the potential, you see the talent, but you see everything he needs to clean up, from his mechanics to his throwing motion to him reading defenses to just his confidence. But when you watch Drew Allar, the potential shines through. He has a rocket launcher attached to his arm. It can launch the ball anywhere on the football field, which you kind of need as a modern day quarterback. And that's really left Allar in a category for me where I title them raw as an egg. Now, why raw as an egg? Well, it's quite simple. An egg is really dangerous raw. It can kill you, actually. But if you mold it, if you cook it to perfection, it becomes this beautifully delicate piece of cookery. And that's kind of where Drew Allar's at. He could kill you right now. He could destroy your team's season. But if you work with him properly, you develop him, he's got the potential to become this beautiful starting quarterback in the NFL. So today, I want to talk about Drew Allar. I want to talk about the positives, and I want to talk about the negatives as we go deep into him as a quarterback that's now a Pittsburgh Steeler. So let's jump into it. Drew Allar is a very interesting quarterback because he's not like a lot of big-armed quarterbacks. He lacks confidence at times, and it's very noticeable on his film, especially when you watch it over and over again. Once he misses a throw, it starts to snowball on him. If he throws a hospital ball where the receiver is led straight into a defender, he starts just throwing inaccurately to his players every single time. It makes his footwork way worse, and it happens far too often, and it's quite frankly just odd for those big arm quarterbacks. Usually those guys are the most confident because their arm is so talented, it can get them anywhere on the field. But it just seems to get in his head over and over again, and that's an issue when you look at quarterbacks in the NFL. You need to have a short-term memory in the NFL, or else you will not succeed. You will have issues. You will have bad plays in the NFL. Allar needs to work on that. He needs to get more confident, and maybe growing as a player, maybe modeling his footwork down more and more helps get that confidence, and he can really, really work on it while he's in the rookie minicamp, while he's working with Mike McCarthy, a guy who is very, very much a great worker on quarterback footwork. If he can instill confidence in Drew Allar, you'll see a much better quarterback. But the question is, can that confidence be instilled in him throughout the course of a game? Because if confidence starts to falter in the NFL, you will have more bad plays and teams will pick you apart because they will know your weaknesses and it will not be good. Drew Allar's mobility isn't his biggest strength by far, but it's far from a weakness. He may not be the fastest guy. He's not Lamar Jackson, in which he's going to make people look foolish on a highlight reel every single week. But he's a talented runner that can make plays happen with his feet. He's not this agile giant that's just quick and go. It's a little rough. It's a little bit of, how do I put this, unelegant, but he knows how to get the job done. He's not afraid to run through someone. He's not afraid to put his shoulder down. He's kind of like Justin Herbert when he runs. He's not the fastest, but he's agile enough to make it work. He'll go through someone if he needs to, but he will protect himself if he needs to. It's overall just what the situation requires. Drew Allar does that with his running ability. But mobility is not just can he run. It's how can he handle himself behind the line of scrimmage. Is he a statue back there? Drew Allar is not a statue. Now, he does have some issues in the pocket 100%, but you can see when he runs around on his film, when he runs around and gets himself off-centered and he has to make the throw, his arm is good enough to put him in a position that he can make those throws, time and time again. Now, is that something that needs to be worked on? I would say yes. I would say if his footwork is more refined, you would need him to run a lot less, you need him to escape a lot less, because hopefully you gain confidence in him from the pocket. But the mobility is an aspect of his game that is a big positive for him going forward. I'm sure you've all heard it. Drew Allar's footwork, it's not the best. His mechanics, not the best. But it's not unfixable. And this is where I think Mike McCarthy comes into play. Mike McCarthy is very much footwork, 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 footwork with quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers has been very vocal about it. There are very good coaching clinics of Mike McCarthy breaking down quarterback footwork on YouTube. I'd recommend you seek out and watch. He knows how to work on quarterback's footwork, and considering that's probably Allar's biggest weakness, it's a good match. But here's the thing, can he really work on it? There is moments where you see how Allar drags his lead foot, how he really doesn't have great leverage while throwing. He doesn't use his whole body. He'll just try to do his whole arm. He doesn't use his bottom half as much. And that leads to many errors. If Allar can fix his footwork, there is a chance he can start in the NFL. If he doesn't, there's no chance he starts in the NFL unless injuries happen. That's how big the footwork issue is for him. And McCarthy, like I said, is a good coach that knows how to work on it. If he can really get those drills in his head, which we've seen at the start of rookie minicamp, there have been clips online of Allar just doing basic quarterback footwork drills, and people have been criticizing him about it. Here's what I will say. Everything you see him doing, it's not supposed to be in time. It's not supposed to be bam, 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 fast, speed, speed, speed. It's just getting the rhythm down, how to do it properly. Mike McCarthy is working perfectly with him right now. Do I think Drew Allar's footwork will be massively improved by the time we get to preseason? No. But everything you can see with the drills he's doing already, there is some hope and optimism there that he will get better. His throwing motion looks different already. It looks cleaner. It looks crisper. It looks more like a standard NFL quarterback. And Allar has the arm that if he can get that down, there is potential there. I mean, it's a freaking rocket launcher attached to his body. His arm is amazingly talented. Just pure arm talent alone, he is the best Steelers quarterback since Ben pre-surgery. No quarterback has had his arm ability since Ben pre-surgery that Drew Allar currently has. And that's exciting. We all, as fans, love to see the deep ball. The deep ball is fun, it's exciting, it gets people on their feet. It's fun to see just a quarterback launch it downfield. And here's the thing. Is he the most accurate downfield? No. There's still much room to improve, but that goes back to footwork. That goes back to using his lower body in his throws instead of just his arm. He's not the most consistent deep ball thrower, but it's there. You see it all. Why? Because his arm is so talented. It can hit any spot on the field. A big thing we always see with quarterbacks is, do they have Sunday throw capability? I'm going to take this back to Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett didn't really have Sunday throw capability. He was very much limited with his arm strength, which hurt him in a state like Pennsylvania, which is cold weather. It's an outdoor stadium. There will be moments where the games are really cold and you have to throw that ball through some wind that's going to just really affect it. Drew Allar's arm can cut through the wind. And that's a big key, and Mike McCarthy's been very vocal talking about how a certain build he wants for a quarterback. 6'4", big hands, big arm. That's Drew Allar. So all that, it makes perfect sense for him in Pittsburgh. He's probably the archetype quarterback the Steelers need to draft because the arm is a big factor. You can't really get through with all these lower ability arms. Look at Ben at the end of the season, his last couple years. It noticeably decreased. Aaron Rodgers last year, the deep ball. He had some ability in Detroit, but you look at that final playoff game with the cold weather and the wind and everything, it just didn't look right. Mason Rudolph has probably been the best arm the Steelers have had, and even then, he doesn't have the cannon Drew Allar does. It's a very interesting thing that the Steelers took a lottery chance on Drew Allar because his arm is that talented. If his arm was a Kenny Pickett, if his arm was a modern-day Aaron Rodgers, if it was like that, I don't know if Drew Allar is drafted in the first 6 rounds, maybe not even a 7th round. That's how talented his arm is. Drew Allar is a very interesting quarterback because I was never a fan of him his draft cycle period, the past 2 drafts, honestly, because I thought he was going to enter the 2025 NFL draft class. I watched him before he announced he was returning. I had everything read up on him, and I had him graded out as a 4th-round quarterback. And I very much value the quarterback position. When I have a 4th-round quarterback, it means just as a player grade in general, you're closer to the low-end 5th, high-end 6th, because that's how I grade them out. And this year, it was a 5th-round graded quarterback. I've never been a big Allar truther. I've never really thought he should be a guy a team invest the future into. I understand why the Steelers took him. I understand because you look at his potential, you look at his arm, it makes you wonder, how can I fix him? How can I work with that? And it's very interesting, do not get me wrong. Allar has all the tools of a starting quarterback in the NFL, except the fact he's not a good quarterback. And you can work with him. You can develop him. I 100% understand that he is not a finished product. But no matter what, we're looking at him as QB3 this year. There's not a world where he's the starting quarterback coming out of preseason or QB2 coming out of preseason. The quarterback depth chart will be Aaron Rodgers 1, and then Will Howard, Mason Rudolph, whoever wins that quarterback battle, will be QB2. The other will be cut. That leaves Allar as QB3 and really won't see the field unless the Steelers are just out of the playoff picture come November, December, January. And if that's the case, yeah, get him in there, give him the reps. But there is the most realistic path of Drew Allar. Never plays meaningful downs for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll play preseason games, but he won't get in regular season games. He won't really be featured in that way. And that's kind of my issue with this draft pick in general. I was okay if they waited to take him with their last 3rd-round pick, but at pick 76, it just doesn't work value-wise. And you can make the argument someone might draft him, someone might draft him. Yeah, I don't think anyone was, but even if that's the case, let them draft him because he's such a work in progress. Odds are he's never going to start for you. So everything about Drew Allar is potential, but realistically, it's not going to be achievable. And listen, I would love nothing more than Drew Allar to prove me wrong. As a football fan, I would love to see him achieve his dream. As a Steelers fan, it would be very beneficial for me and my mental sanity for him to be a franchise quarterback. But I'm gotta be honest here, I just don't see that path happening. He's really got to have to work on it in the offseason, really grind it out, work on his reading defenses, work on his footwork, work on his confidence. He needs to work on everything, and that's so much to work on in such a small sample of time to really get ready to actually prove himself, because they're going to be picking a quarterback in 2027 if Allar does not get on the field and show promise. That's going to happen no matter what. And it's just going to be almost a little sad because you see the talent Allar clearly has, but also it's just going to be a wasted high 3rd-round pick. So for the Steelers' best interest, they should look to play Allar this year. They should look to see what they have in him, because if not, you take a guy. And let's say he has something and you let him walk after 4 years, you worked and developed him, and he turns out to be good, then you just shot yourself in the foot for wasting a 3rd-round pick on a backup quarterback position who is a starter elsewhere and is excelling elsewhere. If Drew Allar plays this year, it can work. It can make sense. But if he doesn't play meaningful regular season games, it is a stupid decision by the Steelers front office. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you share this, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you have anything you want to say, go down below. I read every single comment. And if you're a Steelers fan, tell me what you think of Drew Allar. If you're a Penn State fan, tell me what you think of Drew Allar. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you all have an amazing day.